Time to get on. So what are we up to?
Oh no, we didn't do it tomorrow.
What? Oh, we didn't decide tomorrow, so I guess 5:15, 5:10, 5:10.
Maybe 5:30.
5:30. The minute is at 6.
Saying, oh, so we're accommodating the early Shabbos.
Oh, you want to start ditching the early Shabbos people? I don't know. Who makes early Shabbos anymore? I don't know. Anybody on here make early Shabbos?
I usually do, but Massachusetts, it's whatever time we decide to start it. So I don't know what it's going to be next week.
This week, he's asking for tomorrow.
That's what I'm saying. This week, it doesn't matter.
Okay, so if no one's on that
next week,
cares
I
about
don't know.
early Shabbos, if they're not on tonight, we ditch them tomorrow.
1 second. Naftali, are you doing early Shabbos?
No, I do. No, you're back. I don't do early
Oh.
Shabbos when you're not here either. But
Jerry, you could have told him you're not back. You stepped right into that one.
Well, he did enough shopping for me, so it's all right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll tell you safe.
Let's do one more week early, and then after that, maybe we'll just let's go. Let's
Yeah,
go.
did you see the guy's response to your tweet, or you don't see it?
Response on what?
Your halacha tweet.
Is he pro or con?
Where do you see a response?
It's the guy from Shlomi Zions or something from the Ami magazine who travels.
Yeah, what did he say?
So this is-
Where on Twitter?
This is what he posted. A guy wrote, "This is why he doesn't use the coffee makers or the hot water things." Guy put chicken. It looks like chicken and butter inside the coffee mug.
Right.
You know the pot to make.
Gotta move the thing over. Move your phone over a little bit.
Oh, he put it in the carafe.
Yeah.
Put it in. I don't know if you could see it. Is that nasty?
Wow.
Yes, disgusting.
I was like, Jaco, I think you can tie it on that. It's a mamish and Mills of Village speaking on that one.
Yes. But 1 second. He put that in a response to me.
I respond on Twitter. You also got a like also.
1 sec. My post from tonight's halacha was because of that, Peretz.
Because of what?
No, it says
Because of
replying
that
to
thing
you.
that this guy's been sending around.
Oh, okay. So
I've been getting it all, Peretz. I've been getting it all day from people.
I love it.
Whoever secret hack is, they responded to you saying, check this out or whatever.
God, what? Where do you see this? Oh, on Twitter?
On Twitter.
Peretz, so post that. That's the reason why I sent it as a response to that. Man, I work at. Okay, shy.
What was this all about? I don't get it. I'm slow.
A guy wrote that this is why Jews should stay away from the coffee makers because people are cooking literally chicken with butter in it.
How did the guy do that? I don't understand. He boiled it? What do you do, Paris? How do you make chicken like that?
You put it in with some butter.
And then what? How do you cook it? Oh, the hot plate on the bottom of the thing.
Yeah.
The thing gets hot on the bottom of the carafe.
That's hot enough to cook a piece of chicken?
So then he wrote this, and then apparently he's been selling it around. So Siakam, but he's doing the opposite. He's replying to Siakam's thing about with this.
Right.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I didn't know I could like tweets also on your tweets. I gotta start liking them.
Why don't you just get off of Twitter? How's that? How's that? You do a lot more productive things.
Not really, I don't think.
All right, we'll just spend more time on Instagram, but it's for business.
Quote unquote business.
Okay, so 5:15 tomorrow. What time is the Shabbos?
What time at the Shabbos? 9 o'clock. We call it earlier than
What time is this not? Ooh, maybe I can make it.
what, 9 o'clock? Why not?
Okay.
9 o'clock is just about good enough for me. It's got to be good for you.
No, it is good, but I'm saying every time we call it for a little earlier, closer to Anthony Shabbos, the island doesn't show up.
Better 9:30.
I don't know. We can push it to 9:30.
Didn't last year, didn't we end up doing Matzah Shabbos at 9 o'clock once it got to that point?
What? Yeah.
It just stays at 9 o'clock.
Not in the winter. Oh, it does, because.
No, isn't that what we did?
Obvious abundant situations.
That's why it was 9 o'clock, no?
I don't remember. Okay, we'll worry about that.
No.
Gershon, we'll come back into Sukkot to find about that.
A guy just texted me, does the Yeshivish Olam use the Erev in Inwood? So I text him back, the Yeshivish Olam doesn't use an Erev anywhere. So he says back to me, well, he says, the Yeshivish Olam the Olam that does, do they use the Inwood Erev? I said, that's not a Yeshivish Olam, but yes, you could use the Erev.
Maybe a lot of yeshiva guys don't use the Erev at all. Really?
Legitimate yeshiva guys will not use a city Erev. Legitimate yeshiva guys will not use a city Erev. I didn't say that they're right or wrong. That's just the mitzias.
I thought that was just your shtick.
I'm a yeshiva guy.
That you don't use the Erev. That you don't use the Erev.
I in the picture with the gun. I'm not a yeshiva guy. Anyways, okay, let's go. We wasted enough time to get the Olam on. Okay. Oh, bottom line on Nun Vavam and Beis. Achsei the Romi Bar Chama, the sister of Romi Bar Chama, Havas Nesivas Rav Avia. She was married to Rav Avia. Now we start today's daf. So Irkus Ksubasa. Anybody ever hear of the Kesuba de Irkasa? And Kesuba de Irkasa is a lashon of a Kesuba that got lost. So Irkus Ksubasa, she lost her Kesuba. Also, and this is a fairly common occurrence, people losing the kesuba. Also, of Yosef, they came in front of Yosef. He said to them, he said, this is the words of Rameir, right? That what do we say? Rameir held that if there anything less than a woman who has less than 200 on the 200 zuz on the kesuba is the bias nus, right? So Rameir holds that you're not allowed to live together unless you have a kesuba. So that's what Rameir holds. A woman could live with his wife for 2 to 3 years without a kesuba. Right? Meaning, so what's 2 to 3 years? So for whatever reason, Tosfos is a very interesting lashon that Tosfos uses. He says, what are you going to say? What's the 2 to 3? Right? If 3 years you could live with your wife 3 years without a kesuba, you certainly could live with your wife 2 years without a kesuba. Right? So then Tosfos says what it means is 2 to 3 means even more than 2 to 3. But he says, Ve'en laharach kan, and this is not the place to talk about it. Tosfos says that's like a real achronish type thing to say. This is not the place for it. I mean, there's been many times that Tosfos totally goes off, right, on tangents from the sugya, but for whatever reason, Tosfos here does not want to discuss it.
My favorite Tosfos line, "Ve'en laharich kan," is in Baba Kama, Haragadayla, Ayin Zayin Amud Aleph, like 2/3 of the way through the biggest Tosfos in Shas. Ve'en laharich kan.
Is that what it says there? Yeah.
Yep.
That's the one line. Omid. That's the favorite daf for the Daf Yomi. But anyway, so it's a Machlokes tonight whether you're allowed to live with your wife without a kesuba. We learned that the law is like Rameir, big zeraisa, when he makes a gzeira, and this is a gzeira. So he said to me, "Hachi, okay, so zil kasava, so go write her a kesuba, right? If you want to pass like Rameir, then you have to write a kesuba." Lamaisa, this is the way we paskin, that a couple is not allowed to be together unless they have a kesuba. It's a machlokes in Shulchan Aruch. I forgot who says what. Whether is it even an isur yichud or yichud's okay, but just intimacy is not okay. So machlokes with that. And lamaisa, you have to write another kesuba, which is called kesuba de irkasa. It's a different version of a kesuba. The Judaic stores all have them, and basically it says there was an old kesuba floating around, and this is a new one because it was lost, and you have to give Adam, you have to have a regular kesuba. The interesting thing is what date do you write in the kesuba, in the new kesuba? Let's say a couple's
I'm saying
married.
there's no
10 years.
erison. I'm saying you don't need air. I'm saying with the new.
No, it's just a kesuba, it's just a contract, just a marriage contract.
But they can't
right?
be together.
They can't be together. Well, that's the shaila. Can they not have yichud, or they cannot have only intimacy? But lemaisa, and also what date do you write? Because if you only write the new date, then all the land that the guy has sold is not going to be meshubah to her anymore if he doesn't pay up, right?
Or what about the kids? Could it be mamzerim?
No. It's a derabona. It's a derabona.
Oh.
Right? So it's just a takona. But anyway. So then what happens, Lamaisa? A couple calls up in the middle of the night or at night. Oh, we have no idea where our kesuba is. So now what do? You're not getting to a Judaica store. My father's a used to have a file on his computer. He would just print it out and he would just fill it out for them. You need to get aided. But you can give a mashkin. What you could do is you can give collateral. Like we learned yesterday that you're not supposed to use metaltalin for the kesuba. But what you could do is you give you tell the guy, usually it's the watch. It's about the only thing that a man has that's worth any sort of anything, right? And you give a watch, maybe a gun. All right, but you give it and you give it to the wife to hold as collateral till you get the kesuba done. See, the problem is that the couple wants to have some time to look for the kesuba, right? They want to, I'm saying, just because you wake up one day and say, "Oh, where's the kesuba?" doesn't mean it's not buried somewhere in the house. Right, so you want to give it time. So that's what you do is you give the mashkin, and then you go from there. Yeah. Fine. So that's that. Now we're back to yavamas. For this next 10 lines, 15 lines, we are back to yavamas. Take out the charts. I think the art scroll has a chart, right? I started looking at it. I had no idea what that art scroll chart was talking about. But all right. So Kiyasa Rav Dimi, it's really not so hard. Kiyasa Rav Dimi, amora Rav Shimon ben Pazi, amora Rav Yeshua ben Levi Mishum bar Kafra. That's the easy part of the Gemara, those two lines. Yeah. Machlokes betchila. The machlokes, again, we had a machlokes Rabbi Yosi and Rabbi yehuda. Right? That whether, again, let's just go back just to Chaza to make sure we're all on the same page. We had the Rabbi yehuda in the Mishna said that if the guy wants to give less of a kesuba, so they write 200 in the kesuba, and then she says, I already got paid 100 of it, even though the whole thing is a lie. It's not true, but that's the way she's in such love. She's so desperate to marry the guy that's what she's saying. Right? So Rabbi yehuda said it has to be done biksav. Right? And it can't do it verbal. It has to be biksav. And Rabbi Yosi said, no, any Tanai is fine. So now, Rav Dimi is saying that the machlokes is betchila, right? Now we're going to see exactly what the tchila means. Tchila means at the beginning of the marriage, before the chuppah, let's say. But if it happened at the end, meaning once they're married, and then she says that she's making
I posted a little better, a little clearer to the charts.
Oh, yeah? Okay, good, thank you. So machlokes betchila al b'soif divrei hakol eina mecheles. But if it happened in the end, everybody holds that she can't be meichel, right? Meaning the lamdus is that if she was meichel before the kesuba even was chal, meaning before the chuppah, okay, so she never went into the marriage ever expecting to get the full kesuba. But if all of a sudden she's married for a week and then the husband says, hey, how would you like to take a smaller kesuba? She says, yeah, great. So that we're saying everybody agrees that you can't do that, right? Meaning unless she actually writes it. If she just verbally then says, then it's not going to work. Right? So that's what Rav Dimi says. Rabbi Yochanan says, no. The machlokes between Rabbi Yosi and Rabbi Yehuda of whether she has to actually write this down that she was meichel is a machlokes all the way through whenever she does it in the marriage. So I was explained by Rabbi Yochanan what he meant. Me, meaning Rabbi Yochanan talking now, me and Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, don't disagree with each other. Right? So my betchila the Amora Rabbi Yeshua and Levi. So what? But why? Because meaning what he said, what he meant in the beginning, is not what I meant. Right? Meaning there's the tchila, and then there's the beginning of the end, and then there's the end. Right? My betchila that we're on the Rabban. Well, there were 3 wide lines down on Nun Zayin Amud Aleph. Yeah. So my betchila the Amora Rabbi Yeshua and Levi. What does it mean? The tchila that Rabbi Yeshua and Levi said. Tchila chuppah. It means the beginning of the chuppah. Umay soif. And what does soif mean? Soif bia. It means at the end of the first bia. Right? If that's what they're saying. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi is saying that's what Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi is saying is the tchilas chuppah and the soif is bia. And when I said, meaning Rabbi Yochanan said, bein bezu machlokes, tchilas chuppah b'soif chuppah. I was talking about in the beginning of the chuppah and the end of the chuppah. The heat tchilas bia, that is the beginning of the bia, because after the chuppah is over, that's when bia starts. So meaning they're both saying the same thing. It's just how they describe it. One is saying that it's tchilas chuppah, and one is saying tchilas bia, which is obviously a much later stage. Meaning, so what it's saying is that if everybody agrees that if she agrees to this at the beginning of the chuppah, then it would be okay. It's only later on that they're having the. I'm sorry, in the beginning of the chuppah, that's where the machlokes is. At the end, everybody by bia time, if she already starts being Michael, then that's not going to count, and that everybody agrees that you need a shtar. So that's one way. Ravin says it the opposite. Machlokes is if they do it at the end, meaning at the end. We'll see what the end means, but at the end, meaning not in the beginning of the marriage. But in the beginning of the marriage, everybody holds that she could be Michael even verbally without any sort of shtar. It's a machlokes by both. It was explained to me what Rabbi Yochanan says. That me and Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi don't disagree with each other. When Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi said saif, he meant the end of the chuppah, which is even before bia. What does he mean? Tchilas chuppah means the beginning of the chuppah. Right? Meaning Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi holds that everybody agrees that you can subtract from the kesuba the peh by the beginning of the chuppah. And the shaila is from the end of the chuppah on. And when I said that it's a machlokes both ways, that's by the beginning of bia and the saif bia. But by chuppah, I would say that we'd agree. Fine. So that basically is 2 versions of this Gemara. Fine. So amora papa. Ilav damar bavo l'didim fashli mined Rabbi Yochanan tanavar Yeshua Levi lepagilin hadadi. So Rav Papa, this is a very interesting yesod in machlokes achrayim or machlokes bechlal. So Rav Papa is saying if it wasn't Rabavo, not for Rabavo saying, explaining the machlokes between Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, and that they're not disagreeing, Habamina Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi pligi. I would have thought Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi are disagreeing. Rav Dimi v'Ravin like pligi, and Rav Dimi and Ravin, who are the achrayim that came after. Amoraim, I'm sorry, not Achrayim, I keep saying Achrayim. Amoraim that came after Rav Yochanan and Rabbi Yeshua, they're the ones that I'm sorry, I said it backwards. If it wouldn't be for Rav Papa, I would have thought that Rav Yochanan and Rabbi Yeshua are the ones arguing. Rav Dimi and Ravin are not arguing. Because my soif the Gomer Ravin, what does it mean soif when Ravin says that the machlokes is only in the end? Soif chuppah. I meant at the end of the chuppah. My tchila the Gomer Rav Dimi, and what's the tchila that Rav Dimi said? Tchilas bia means tchilas bia. So he's saying that I would have thought that the machlokes was between Rav Dimi and Ravin. So okay, but it's not. My kamashmal. What's he teaching us here? What's the chiddush? So how kamashmalon, and this is the aside. The pligi trei amoraim time of the nafshayu. We would rather say that 2 amoraim are having a machlokes against each other And there's no we would rather not have two amoraim having a machlokes about what one amora says. Meaning we would prefer to have two amoraim having a machlokes than to have two amoraim having a machlokes in what one amora said. Right? So that's the way we would have preferred to have it, but Rav Papa said that's not the way it is. Yeah, okay, but that's the bottom line. The bottom line is that is you still have the machlokes over when the woman agrees to subtract some of the kesuba money. That's a machlokes whether you're allowed to do that. That has to be done with a shtar, or can she just verbally say that she's meichel? And what the machlokes is where do they have this machlokes? Do they have this machlokes by the chuppah only or even later? Okay, a little complicated, but that's the hard part of the daf. Fine. So Zok the Mishna. So the next bunch of Mishnayos, we get involved with the marriage and what each spouse has to do for each other. So before we start that, we start with the engagement. So the Mishnah says, we give a basula 12 months from when the husband asks her to marry him. Meaning, this is they get engaged, which is kiddushin. Then they're in no man's land because they're married to each other, but lamaisa they haven't finished the marriage, right? They don't have chuppah, right? So from when he says, okay, I'm ready to get married, then she gets a year to go buy things for the chasana and to prepare for the wedding, right? Meaning you don't have a year. We keep saying that normally it's a year from the engagement. No, it's a year from whenever it is that he says that he's ready to get married. So let's say they got engaged tonight, and in 2 months from now he says, okay, let's prepare to get married. Then she has rights to wait 1 year for the marriage. Right? Why? She needs to be mefarnes herself, which is a fascinating thing. I find it fascinating. Rashi says, what does she need a year for? For tachshitin, right? For jewelry, right? Or makeup, or this and that. Meaning, the musar I take out of this is that we're busy here when we make chasanas, or people everybody's busy thinking the women are crazy, mishigas, they go crazy, right? For siblings' weddings and nieces and nephews and this and uncles and everybody mishuga, they go mishuga, right? Lamai cigarette. Why doesn't the Mishnah just say mitzvah prurava was more important? Stop with your mishigasin of the tachshitin. The Mishnah doesn't say that. Mishnah says you give her a year. Say, Elamai, this is something important that us men shouldn't belittle, right? Is that not the musar to be learned from this Mishnah? Peretz, you still hot.
What is she?
It says
what is she needing?
It says Atzma that she should be doing it, not you should be paying for it.
Okay, that's a good point.
Hey, you'll see how fast when they have to do it. All of a sudden, they don't need it. Don't worry.
That's only because B'chlal there.
What does she need a year to? Go to the jewelry store?
No, Peretz has a point. They go to makeup artists. It takes them like 3 hours per woman. If the woman was doing it herself, it would take a year.
That's what you're saying. I hear. I don't know. It's good. Whoever should be doing it shouldn't be doing it. But the bottom line is that there seems to be an importance to allow a woman to do tachshitim. That you can't. I don't see how you can deny that. Right. So, right? Isn't that I'm saying that's the musar word? Fine. But then there's more. But okay, whatever it is. So she gets a year. Okay, Shem Shenoisen Leisha, Kach Noisen Leish. Lefana says Atzma. Okay, parents, what are you doing with that one? All right. Now let's say when she proposes to him. So first of all, you think like, oh, what kind of goyish thing is she proposes to him? No, you see the Mishnah is where she says to the guy, okay, I'm ready. Right? He also gets. But what is he being mefarnes himself with? Rashi says, B'tzarchei suda v'chuppah. not tachshitim.
Okay,
Right?
so Tiago, that taka, if you have to cook for a lot of people, it takes time.
Correct. But again, we're gonna say that don't have such a fancy wedding. Just give him hot dogs and hamburgers.
No, the Meiri brings down the house. He needs to buy the furniture and he needs to get the house prepared. And
That's not Rashi. Rashi doesn't say that.
okay, but it's not like today you call up the caterer and you give him a check for 15 grand and he has the food ready for you tomorrow. They had to go get the food and that.
Well, even if it is that, the point is he has to make the money for it.
Right.
That could take a year. That makes sense.
Right.
Fakir, today it takes a lot more than a year.
Right.
But Tzvi Yaakov, how are you learning a kashem? That she is ma'aris him?
Yeah.
I thought the kashem was that even if she has
the
all
same
her
way we give
ready,
her a year. What?
Even if she has all her tachshitim ready, it still needs a year for Nisuin. Because he has to, it takes him time also. There's two reasons that takes a year, 12 months from Erisin to Nisuin. The first reason is we give her 12 months to prepare tachshitah. But even if she has all her tachshitim prepared, you still take 12 months because it takes that long to prepare the suda.
He could take, meaning it could be a 2-year ordeal.
No, that's what you, no, I'm saying 1 year.
No, I'm saying both.
Why?
Why can't they do it simultaneously?
They could. They could. But let's say she says she's ready to get married right now. He has the right to say, I need a year to prepare the wedding.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm saying she wouldn't ask to get married now if she wasn't ready. I think. Right? But anyways, so that's what it is. Each one gets a year. But almana shloshim yom. An almana gets 30 days. All right. Now, why does she only get 30 days? Because she already has her tachshitim. Right? So parents, you could tie on this.
Why she's marrying a bacha?
Don't make a difference. She has her old jewelry and her old stuff from her first chasana.
What about him? He needs to prepare a suda.
Oh, and a chanami. No, he would get a year. And a chanami, you're right. I think, he would get a year. But the point is they use the same clothing twice for 2 different chasanas, right?
Well, it's a totally new family to make sure that there's no sister-in-laws from the first family.
Correct. Right. So, fine. Let's say
they did a different color scheme and just dyed the dresses and the shoes. Remember, they used to dye their shoes to match the dresses.
Sure. Yeah. So, but the point is that this is not heintige mishagasin. That's the bottom line. This is to me, I can't understand it. Pushing off a mitzvah pruruvu. Everybody's so busy. Pruruvu, quick, get married. All of a sudden, we're giving people a year to prepare for the chasana. Okay.
Isn't that what the Mishna is really saying?
See, Yaakov, but they weren't old buckram. They weren't 21 years old. They were 15, 16, 18.
Still.
I think that's what the Mishna is saying with the Lalmana Lamed Yoim. That if both of the original things are ready, then do it now. Don't wait 12 months. The 12 months is for a reason. It's not stam, it has to be 12 months.
I understand, but what I'm saying is if somebody came to me, Gershon, and says to me, we need a year to prepare for our wedding. I say, are you Meshuggah? Right? That's what I'm going to say. So Elamai, das Torah lehebach from das balabatim, because the bottom line is the Mishna is saying that you give them a year. That's all. Now you might say, okay, don't hang out with each other. So that they did in Yehuda, right? Regularly you don't hang out. Okay, it's a different Torah. Sure, let's go back. Yeah, Higiyazman v'lo nisu, but the time came, and they didn't get married. She could eat from his food because he now has to start feeding her, And he could also eat truma, meaning if he's a kohen, she's a bas Yisrael, then she's allowed to already start eating truma. Truma. He can give her everything from truma. Now, what is the chiddush with that? Meaning, sometimes a woman becomes tameh. How's she going to eat? If all he gives her is truma, how's she going to eat? Salamai, she'll have to sell the truma to a kohen for pennies on the dollar, and then she'll have to, and that's how she'll eat. But that's what Reb Tarfon says you could do that, right? And that's.
This is not the first year for Marison to Soon. This is the whole rest of her life. For the next 30 years, she's going to need twice a month, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's not just this special thing of the engagement time.
Right. No, correct. Rabbi Kiva, I'm a mechza chulin or mechza truma. Half chulin and half truma. Right?
Is this Russian mechza a raya to that there's an earlier Makayer for Chvira B'nai Yisrael Alatzman?
Why?
It's on my rhyme, because why mechta mechta? It's a quarter and 3/4.
So that's really going to be one of the shittas in the Gemara, but it doesn't say that. But it doesn't say that that's the reason. I mean, the Gemara is going to say there's a shitta like that too. So I hear maybe
right,
that's what
but
it
Lamaisa, this is a Makayer that it's much earlier than the Gemara brings.
I hear maybe. All right, for good. So yavam ain't a machal b'truma. A yavam though is not allowed to give truma. Meaning, if the chassan before he got married died, and now obviously his brother's a kohen also, and now it's been a year, she does not get truma. She can't eat truma. Let's say she was engaged. Again, we're calling it engaged. It doesn't really mean engaged, right? Well, see, she did 6 months in front of the Baal, meaning till the Baal died, and then she had another 6 months of the yavam. But if you were kulam b'fnei Baal, even if all the days, right, 364 days where the Baal was alive, then he died the day before the chasana. Chatzah yom echad b'fnei yavam, minus 1 day in front of the yavam. Kulam b'fnei yavam, chatzah yom echad b'fnei Baal, or all of the days from the yavam minus 1 day from the Baal, which there's no real chiddush with that. She is not allowed to eat truma because she does not eat truma from a yavam, only from a husband. Zu Mishna Rishona. So this was all the first Mishnah, right? That once the time comes that they were supposed to get married and the marriage gets delayed, she's allowed to eat truma. So Bezdin Shalach Reyan Amru, but Bezdin that came after them on Tamar Bezdin now said, they said, no, a woman does not eat truma until she actually gets married. None of this feeding her before she gets married. So the Gemara asked me, how do we know? Meaning, how do we know that she gets a year? So the pasuk says, right, so this is by when Eliezer was trying to get Rivka to marry Yitzchak. Right, so they said, tell the brother and the mother said, let her stay with us for a yomim or asar. Yomim is plural for days, so 2 days or 10. That's a literal translation. Now, my yomim, what does it mean days? Ilema trei yomi. If it means 2 days, mishtoi inishavi, does a person talk like that? Amrulei trei yomi. They say to him, stay for 2 days. Amr lahula. He says, nope, not staying for 2 days. So Amrulei asari yomi. Okay, so stay for 10 days. Right? Obviously, if he doesn't he's not saying yes to 2. He's certainly not going to say yes to 10. So that can't be. Elamai yomim. What does yom mean? Shana. Tisiv yom tiyeh geulasai. That it should be yomim, which means a year should be the geula. That's a pasuk that's in reference to if you sell a house that's in a walled city, you have a 1 year return policy on it that you can renege on the sale. So there, yomim means a year. Okay, so the Gemara says, "Ve'ema chaydesh." Let's say that yomim means a month. Tichsiv ad chaydesh yomim, for a month of days, right? So Amri, so he said no. We're not going to say that yomim means a month. Amri done in yomim stam. We'll take a stam word, a plain word of yomim, and learn it out from another word, yamim. We're not going to take a word yamim. All it says is yamim in the pasuk from a pasuk that says the word chodesh together with the yamim, like chodesh yamim. So therefore, it's not. We'd rather go yamim to yamim. So that's why we know that yamim means a year, which I don't clearly understand. I mean, what are we looking for here? We're looking for a source that they need a year. Why don't we say it depends on the society? It depends how big a city they live in. There's so many different variables. So we're taking from Chumash, from the way it was, but with Yitzchak and Rivka. Okay, I don't know. But anyway, Amr of Zera, Tana, Bein Hi, Bein Navi, Yechan. If a katana got engaged, now we're going to see before that a katana, kedusha katana is innocent of Rabbanon. You're really not allowed to marry off your daughter. If you did, then she's considered married. But the Rabbanon said you're not allowed to. So here we're talking about where the guy did it illegally. All right, another case of a guy doing something wrong. He marries off his katana. So then they say, okay, you're going to get married. And he does kedushin, and then they're going to need the suan a year later. Right, so if she and her father, either one, can say 12 months is not enough time, we need more time. So when I asked why is she allowed to push it off? She's allowed to push it off because she could say that I'm not ready, because she's a katana, elavia. But if it's her father, if she's nicha to it, avia my nafkalemina. What does the father? What does he care? If the girl says she's ready to get married, what is the father sticking his nose into the business? So this teretz also, I found this teretz to be fascinating. Savar, hashta lo yada. The father is going to say, right now, she doesn't know. She doesn't know what marriage is all about. Lamachar, mimrida v'nafka. And then tomorrow she's going to, mimrida means she's going to rebel. And she's going to be fed up with the marriage. But now she's going to run out of the marriage, right? And she's going to come and she's going to fall on me. That's a literal translation. Right? Now, what does it mean to fall on me? Again, the father is saying, I don't want the girl to get married so young because she's going to get married young. She doesn't know what marriage is. She's going to get stressed out. She's going to leave the marriage and she's going to fall on me. Fall on me, and then what? So Rashi says, and then the father is going to have to go buy her more jewelry for the next wedding. And that he doesn't want to do. Really? That's the whole concern here? And is that really the whole concern, that the father doesn't want to have to spend another set of things for jewelry? Okay, I mean, I would have thought he doesn't want his daughter to be bitzar, put her into a marriage that's not working. No. He just doesn't want to have to spend more money.
Didn't you say earlier they can use the same stuff?
Oh, so that
I
was
remember
by an
because
almana.
it's tonight.
Yeah, so I was wondering that, right? So that seems like an almana will use the same stuff, but I guess a grusha will not, unless she ran out of the marriage, so the husband keeps it. I'm not sure. You're right. I don't know.
I was thinking she's going to go back to her father, and he's going to have to support her.
Right, that's what I would think, right? He's back. He thought he's getting rid of the daughter. Right? That's what I thought, like what the doctor's saying. But that's not what Rashi says, right? So Rashi says, no, it's because he doesn't want to have to buy it again. I can't say I understand that. All right.
Yaakov.
Yeah.
A few years ago, I'm just because it's about Reb David, so I think you'll like the story. Otherwise, I wouldn't interrupt. I was like 3 years, I don't remember with the COVID. It was like 3-4 years. I met somebody, a fellow in somebody's house, and he was telling me a story about Reb David. This fellow got married late. He lived on the east side, and he was going out with this girl. No. So he met Reb David one day. And Reb David said, "No, what's going on with you already? It's months. What's going on?" He says, "I don't know, Rabbi. I don't know." He says, "Come with me right now." Reb David took him to a jewelry store. He says, "Pick out a bracelet. Pick out a bracelet now." And he picked out a bracelet. Reb David paid for it. And he said, "Go to the girl tonight and give her the bracelet, and we'll have a mazel tov tonight. Stop already." No. That's how the guy got engaged. Yeah.
You know what? If Reb David Feinstein told me to do that, I'd probably do the same thing. Right? Halavai. Maybe we should have tried that on more people. It's very good. Very good. Yeah. Fine. So that's that one. So Amar Rav Abba bar Levi ain paiskin ala katana lasiya kashi katana. You're not allowed to paiskin mean you're not allowed to decide when she's a katana to marry her off when she's a katana. Meaning, if you're going to marry her, get her engaged, let's say at 10 and a half years old, and say, okay, the marriage is going to be at 11 and a half, you can't do that, right? But when she's a katana, and let's say it's 11 years old, and we say, okay, you're going to get married after 12, so that you can do, right? Again, but we're talking about without kedushin, Rashi points out, because it's really usher to marry off your daughter when she's a katana, even kedushin. Either way, the Gemara says, pshit, that's pasha. Why can't you do that? Why can't you set up a wedding for after she's going to become a gedolah? So the same maybe if she starts hearing that, oh, we have a wedding date, even though she's going to be a gedolah, she might start getting nervous. Kamash Malan, we're not worried about that. You can make a wedding date when she's a katana for when she's a gedolah. Fine. So Amar Rav Huna, if a woman becomes a begeres one day, and then she becomes kedusha, meaning begeres, let's say give or take, is 12 years old. So she becomes a begeres when she's 12 years old, and then the next day somebody's makadisha. So how much time do we give her? We give her only 30 days, like an amora, right? Why? So Rashi says an interesting thing. A woman is so desperate to get married, she's already started preparing all her jewelry and all that for her wedding, even though she doesn't even have a guy, because she doesn't want to wait. She doesn't want to wait anymore. So according to this, all of our kalas are begereses, so they would not get this year thing, right? So Meisvei, they asked the kasha bagra harehi ketuvua. If she's a begeres, then she's as if she was tuvua, means from the word to the teveya, to ask her, meaning it's as if she was asked to get married. What does that mean? My love ketuvua the basula. She's the same din as being asked like a basula is asked, which means she gets 12 months. And you just finished saying that a begeres only gets 30 days because she should have been fully prepared till then. So Gemara answers, like ketuvua da amana, it means a tvua of an almana. Fine. So then the Gemara asks, Tashama begeres sheshasa shnei mas chaydesh. Have a begeres who waited for 12 months to get married. Since the husband has to give her food, yafer, right? So therefore, he is allowed to, since he has to feed her because it's 12 months, he's allowed to be made for her nether. Meaning, if she makes a nether, he can nullify it. So you see that a begeres gets 12 months. My answer is Ema begeres pishasa shnei masachaydesh. Two different cases. Begeres is one, which is 30 days, and then pishasa shnei masachaydesh, somebody who waits 12 months. Rabbi Elazar is a different side. It's Hayol ubayla chayiv b'zanesel. Since her husband is chayiv to feed her, yafer, he can be made for it, right? It's not. It's the main point is Hayol. Since the father is in the Nazaris, then you'll be made. Fine. Another kasha on this Rav Huna's opinion that a begeres only gets 30 days. So Tashma Hamaris is a basula. Somebody gets engaged to a basula. Ben Shetava Habal V'Makeves. Whether the husband wanted to get married and she's holding off, Ben Shetava He Bal Ma'akev, or whether she's asking. See Gershon right there says the fair. She's asking to get married and he's pushing her off. Nice and Lashnei Masu Chaydesh Mishas Tviyah. We give her 12 months, not from the Kiddushin. We give her 12 months from when they decided that they're going to get married. But it doesn't go from when they got engaged. And Bagra is like, as meaning a begeres, a girl that's 12, that's mature already. She's the equivalent of somebody who's asked. Ketzad. If she was a begeres for one day and she got married, we give her 12 months. And for an arusa shloshim yom, we give 30 days. So you see very clear that a begeres gets 12 months, not 30 days. To yufta the Rav Huna, to yufta. So this is a kash on Rav Huna, and it's a kash. Meaning, so we shlug a Rav Huna, and a begeres taki gets a year. Fine. My ula arusa shloshim yom. What does it mean that an arusa gets 30 days? Amora Papa Hachi Kamer. This is what it's saying. By Geras Shavro Leshneim also Chaydish Bagros Beniskacha, a Bageres who waited 12 months when she was already 12, and then she got engaged. Nice, and then we give her 30 days. All right. So you do see that if she's already been a Bageres for a year, so then she taka only gets 30 days, right? So I'm just looking at the Shulchan Aruch. Yeah, that's taka the way we pass in Shulchan Aruch. So she would only get 30 days, which is, I think, why nowadays we don't have all this, because the girls should be preparing their marriage, preparing already from before. But I don't know if they do that or they don't do that. But yeah, fine. So what happens if it became time, meaning they said, okay, we're getting married 12 months from now, and then they don't get married. So what's the din? She could start eating terumah, at least according to the Mishna Rishayim. So Amar Ula, Dvar Torah, Arusa, Bas Yisrael, Echelas Betrumah. Me'ikar adin, according to the Torah, once they get engaged, she could start eating terumah. Not a year later when they're ready to get, when they were supposed to get married. Right when they get engaged, she's really could eat terumah. When a kohen buys something with his money, it can eat terumah, right? An eved, if a kohen owns an eved, even if the eved's Yisrael, that eved can eat terumah. V'hainami kinyan kaspahu, and a woman is another purchase. A woman is no different. A man purchases a woman no different than a man purchases an eved. So matam amru einachel. So how come they said that she should not eat terumah? Because maybe they're going to pour a cup of terumah and give it to her. She's going to call over her brothers and sisters and say, hey, you guys want to drink? Right? Meaning if the chassan, who's a kohen, sends terumah to his wife, to his kala, and she's living at home, she might offer, and it's terumah, she may offer some to her family, in which case her family it's also for them to eat it. So Gemara says, if that's the case, so if it came time for the marriage and it got delayed, so why is she allowed to eat terumah then? When it answers, there, he gives her a place. Meaning when it comes the time for the chasana, when they were supposed to get married, then he's meyachid her a place, like this is your place, so therefore it's not going to get confused. If that's the case, if a kohen who's a lokit, the lokit means he's a worker. We had this a couple of blocks ago. He's a worker that lives in the guy's house. So a lokit kohen Yisrael, he shouldn't eat terumah, because he might end up eating with the Yisraelim. He could eat terumah because he's a kohen. He's working for Yisraelim. Why aren't we afraid that he might share with the people he's living with? So what answers, Hashtamidithu Safule, he's eating from them. Mididei Achli, they're going to eat from him, meaning he's a living worker. He's eating their food. So they're going to go start taking his food? No, that's not the way it works. So Rav Shmuel by Rav Yehuda Amar B'Shem Simcha, he has a different reason why they did not allow engaged women to eat terumah, even if they're engaged to a kohen. Symphonists were afraid that he's going to see something bad on the kala, meaning once they get married, he's going to see something that turns him off, and he's going to nullify the kedushin. In which case, she was never really married to him. In which case, she's eating terumah shaloi kedin. That's his reason. So we have two reasons. Again, the first reason is that we're afraid she's going to share with her family. The second reason is we're afraid he's going to backtrack on the marriage. So if he brings her into the chuppah, but he didn't sleep with her, it should also be also. All right? Because how do you know he's not going to see something that turns him off about her, and he's gonna renege on the marriage? So my answer is no, because he checks into her, and then how does he check into her? So Rashi says with his relatives. His relatives, I don't know exactly what they do. They go to the mikveh with her to make sure her body's okay. Whatever it is, they check her out, and they report back to him that she's fine. Makes you wonder.
Is this the first makar for the picture?
That's what I was about to say. Is this? I mean, we're complaining about the pictures. I mean, Rabbeinu Shalom. Imagine a guy makes the woman do this. Right? But like it goes with our door. We keep saying it. Our door is a holy door. Right? Okay. Elamayata, Eved Kohen Shalakum Yisrael. If a Kohen, an Eved of a Kohen that he bought it from a Yid, because what's going to happen? He's going to go buy this Eved, and then he might see something on the Eved, and then he's going to knock off the sale, and the guy is he's going to end up eating. What's the case here?
He ain't ever terumah before he finalized the sale.
No, I'm saying, but the Kohen. No, it's a Kohen slave that he bought from Yisrael. Right? So that's what it is. Right. So he's going to give him terumah. But then what happens if he decides to renege? So he's not going to give. The question is, why do you have to buy it from Yisrael? Because if he was buying it from a Kohen, he could have either way eaten it. That's what. Right. Because either way he could have eaten it. Even if he canceled the sale, he was owned by a Kohen. Right. I'm sorry. Either way. So the Gemara says, why don't we concern the Shum Simpon? So he says, Simpon Vavadim Lecha. There's no such thing as going back for Avadim. Right? Mumim, Rashi says, are not Mavatal, the purchase of an Eved. Why? To eat Avroi. Because if it's outside mum, he would have seen it when he met the Eved to see if he buys it. If he buys it. And this line again, I don't understand. And if it's an internal mum that the guy has, he gets the Eved from Malacha. He doesn't care about internal things, which I don't understand. A guy can have a bum knee, right? It doesn't, you can't tell from the outside. And the guy can't, he says, hey, can you schlep this thing? He says, no, I'm sorry, I got a bum knee. He says, okay, I'll return you. Right? I don't understand.
That's how you're learning the Evroi and the Gavoi?
That's what I thought.
I thought the Evroi means visible and the Gavoi means invisible.
Well, isn't that
the bum knee would be visible?
Why is it invisible?
Because it's beseitzer, it's hidden by clothing or something like that.
By clothing?
So yeah.
I don't know. I didn't understand it that way. But again, I don't understand the Gemara. So, but even the Fiyu, so what?
Gershon, didn't slaves just walk around in shorts with no shirts, no shoes? No.
I don't know. I wasn't there.
You didn't see
I'd
movies
have to rely
of
on
slaves?
you.
Never saw movies of slaves?
But we're talking about Yisraelim here, Yidden.
Okay.
They were tzitzis.
But even if it was hidden, so I'm saying hidden by clothing. So
that kind of mum is just it's a physical, it's a looking thing. That makes no difference.
A bum knee.
I have a bum knee. I walk with a cane. Anyone can tell I have a bum leg. Someone who has an arm issue, you can tell he can't carry.
I'm going to use a sports muscle. You got these guys that are on the injured list for 6 months, right? The guy, you see him, he's got a bum leg. The guy walks in and out of the stadium. They have a video of him walking in and out of the stadium. He looks like nothing wrong, nothing. Right?
True, for Malacha, that would be fine. Not for playing a game.
Well, or I'm imagine he wouldn't do Malacha.
If that's what he bought the Eved for, that would be.
I don't know. Okay, he's saying it's only externals that there's a problem. Okay, then the Gemara continues. Nimtza ganav. If he's a ganav, meaning if the slave is a ganav, right? Oy, Anton Aleph now. Oy, kuv justus. There's an interesting machlokes is what a kuv justus is. So Rashi says he's a kidnapper, a gun of the fashis. Tyson says it can't be. He's a gun of the fashis. So Tyson says he's a gambler. Tosis at the end of the top Tosis brings from Rabbeinu Hananel that this guy is a gambler, and that's something that's hidden. People don't know that this guy's a gambler, right? So either way, but those are mumim that you can't tell. So higiyu, but even so, higiyu, the sale still goes, right? My ika, right? So what is going to make a mechira, a sale of a slave, not work? List them mezuyim, either armed robbers, muchtav lemalchus, or he's written for the malchus, meaning he's got a death sentence. So then, and hanu kala islu, but they have a call. Everybody's going to know if a guy has a death sentence on him. So the guy will find out with any sort of checking into it. Okay, whatever it is. So the bottom line is we have a machlokes why so there's no concern of an eved of a mekach tois, but there's two terutzim why an engaged girl is not allowed to eat terumah. Either because we're afraid he's going to see something on the body, it's going to turn him off and he's going to negate the marriage, or because we're afraid she's going to share the food. But either way, it's the same. What's the difference between the two sheets? Right? They both can't eat terumah. My benayu, what's the difference? Right? Benayu, kibel masar b'halach. If he was makabel it on himself, meaning if the chassan sees the mum of the woman and says, "Okay, I'm still okay marrying her," so then according to that, he's not going to renege. So then she'd be able to eat terumah, but she still might share it with her family. Masar b'halach is if she was handed over to them, meaning the father went along and the husband was there when she was handed over. So therefore, since he was there when she handed over, so there's no concern that she's going to go give the food to the brothers, because she's not there. Then he's not there, she's not, whatever, she's not with the family because she was being handed over with either the father shluchim or the father, right? But we still have to be concerned that when he sees her, he's going to be turned off and he's going to negate the marriage. So those are the two nafkaminas between the two shitas. Again, the first nafkamina is if the husband was makabel on himself the mum of the woman, right? And the second one is if she's handed over with shluchim, etc., etc. So therefore, there's no concern that she's going to end up sharing the food. Okay, stop over here. Whoa, it's late. Okay, sorry about that. We got a late start. All right. Have yourselves a fine night.
Somebody just posted that thing on my beer kosher beer chat. Yeah, go.
So you post the other thing.
No, but that's one of the big shilas they have with all these breweries. If they do tarfas, are they constantly brewing? Or are they not?
All right, it's bottle. That's Yaakob's reaction to that.
Depends how much is in there. Yeah.
As long as they don't do it in the one of the Long Island birds where you pick up from, we'll be fine.
No, they don't. I gotta ask them, but a lot of them do. This guy just posted the what's it called? Lake Wallenpupik Brewery.
Lake Wallenpupik. Wow, I haven't heard that name in a long time.
Yeah, they just popped up in Pennsylvania.
Lake Wallenpupik. I remember going there with your father. Wow.
Yep. That's the photo in the bungalow, no? With the cell phone?
Something, yeah.
Yep. Ami Cohen is sitting there going, look, usser.
Ami Cohen.
No, but there's a thing called Untapped that tells you they register all the beers that they've ever made. And the guy says, look, it looks like in 2017 they did an oyster stout.
Interesting. So that has oyster in it.
With the shells and everything.
Nasty.
Anyhow, I could see, you saw I went to the Amazon, what's it called, store?
Yeah, how was that?
Amazon Fresh.
I don't get the kunz with it.
Very strange.
Where is that?
It's in Oceanside.
All right, hit the recording.
I heard there's one in Oceanside.